Carolyn, your question will be for Dr. Johnson.
Dr. Johnson, the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act allows employees to take unpaid leave to care for a new child, care for a seriously ill parent, child, or spouse, and to recover from their own serious illnesses without losing their jobs. But the federal law covers employers with at least 50 employees. Do you have some suggestions to ensure that employees in small companies, such as what we have in New York, Northern New York, have family leave protection?
I think family leave protection is good for a small business, and it's good for individuals, and I would expand that. I run a small business myself, a medical practice, and we give our employees family leaves and give them time for illness and sickness. It's only right. It's only fair. The American middle class is being squeezed, and we have to start becoming a little bit more sensitive to people's needs. And I think it's good for business. I think to have healthy employees and to have satisfied employees only helps business rather than hinders business. We have to look further than the bottom line, because if you look further than that, the bottom line will increase.
A follow-up, Carol?
Yes. Do you think that the Family Medical Leave Act should be expanded to receive unpaid time off for family needs, such as parent-teachers conference or taking family members to doctor's appointments?
I think that we need. I think we need to expand the family leave time for voting. I think we need to have a national holiday for voting. Every Tuesday we vote. Everyone should be able to go and vote and encourage voting. I don't particularly think that parent-teachers conferences are going to be something that we have to expand it to right now.
And a rebuttal?
Doctor, the resolution you spoke about with respect to Iraq affirmed very clearly the commitment of the United States government to the war against terror. If you oppose that, I'm shocked. Number two, what it did say is that it is not in our national interest to set a date certain with withdrawal to try to encourage our enemies to hold on to that area. That's the same vote Senator Clinton and others have taken. Let me just say, I was one of the original supporters and one of the few Republicans to support the Family Medical Leave Act. I believe in it very strongly. That's why I bucked my party leadership to make sure that it passed.
And Jane, your question will be for Congressman McHugh.
All right. What is your position on providing federal funding for stem cell research?
Stem cell research? I strongly support stem cell research in spite of what my good opponent has put out in his press releases and his materials. Since I have been in Congress, since, by the way, the recent administration has come in, I have voted to support $2.38 billion in stem cell research, including embryonic stem research. What I am concerned about is that if we're going to expand federal funding beyond the current embryonic stem cell research, we have a law that is written in a way that ensures we are not establishing embryonic farms so that the purpose of those creation of those embryos is simply to try to create new stem cells and creating a factory. If we can do that, I don't see any limits, any horizon. I have supported stem cell research, and I have not voted, nor will I ever vote to limit it in any way.
Follow-up, Shane? And a rebuttal, Dr. Johnson?
It's the smoke and mirrors again, John. It's the smoke and mirrors. Yes, it's easy to vote against stem cell farms. No one wants embryonic farms, but you voted against federal funding of stem cell research. You know, stem cells can be seen as the gift of life. I see people with incurable diseases, with chronic diseases, who might very well benefit from stem cell research. No, John, you voted against federal funding for stem cell research. Let's get it straight on the record. We're tired of the smoke and mirrors.
Okay, Bob, your question will be for Dr. Johnson.
Dr. Johnson, recently I read a newspaper article in one of our local papers that mentioned the fact that the candidates in the neighboring congressional district were buddies, were friends, and that they were very unhappy with their campaign rhetoric, if you will, in commercials and so on that were on television. The article indicated that they had no direct say in those commercials, that they came from the National Campaign Office, and they had not even seen those commercials. Do you have a direct say in your commercials, and do you feel that they're being run correctly? And do you feel, is this one area as well as others, what areas do you feel are important for campaign reform?
Yes, I have a direct say in all my commercials. We get no help from the national committees. And so my commercials are approved by me, every single one of them.
Follow-up question, Bob?
No, I'd like to find out what's happening with Mr. McHugh on that issue.
No, I have refused all funding from the NRCC. I will say that unlike my opponent, I have never run a negative ad. By the way, that's not my assessment of his ad. That's his assessment of his ad. He has posted on his websites. He's running negative ads. He's posted on his websites. He has made negative speeches. I think it's absolutely important. And doctor, you're absolutely wrong. And as a physician, as someone who's trained in science, you ought to understand the difference between embryonic stem cell farms, which I have voted against, and stem cell research that I have resoundingly supported. You are wrong.
You voted against the critical bill. You voted against the critical bill.
I voted
for
against the
federal-
bill
for
that
federal
had
funding.
no
Gentlemen.
protection on embryonic farms, the thing that you claim to not support, and yet you say I should
Carolyn, your
support.
question will be for Congressman McHugh, if you'd like to keep this going.
Thank you. Congressman McHugh, the Heart for Women Act was introduced.
I'm sorry, Carol, I didn't hear you. I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
The Heart for Women Act was introduced in the Senate by Senator Stabenow, which raises awareness among women and their health care providers and provides gender and race-specific information for clinicians and researchers. It also improves screening for low-income women at risk for heart disease. I could not find a similar bill in the House. If there is one, could you address that? And if there isn't, what would you do to consider a companion bill to this?
Well, Carolyn, you're absolutely right. There isn't. I think that's a disturbing fact. The fact of the matter is, in Congress, you look to the committees of jurisdiction and the members to try to develop those bills under which their jurisdiction would apply so that you can support those initiatives. I frankly was pretty surprised that there wasn't a parallel bill to Debbie Stabenow's initiative. I thought it was a good one. The short answer to your question is we have to introduce one by ourselves. Having said that, frankly, it's not the preferable way. I'd like to see a committee of jurisdiction member develop that. But when we get back, that's something we're going to have to talk about. I can't imagine why that has not evolved out of the committee, either, by the way, Republican or Democrat member. But that's something that needs to be explored.
And a follow-up, Carolyn? Dr. Johnson?
That's a great bill. All your questions are tiptoeing around the problem. I got into this race 2.5 years ago because I have the audacity to believe that health care is a right. Health care should not be rationed by the ability to pay. And whether we talk about gynecological problems or whether we talk about all types of other health problems, we need to provide the American people with health care for every single American. And I think we need to start facing that, and we need to have courageous leaders to do that.
Shane, your question will be for Dr. Johnson.
All right. There will be 11 million containers imported into the